Here we are, back at it again. New sketchbook, new fun times. Aren't we excited? I'm using, as always, the Leuchtturm sketchbook to start this one, because of course I am. This is my favorite sketchbook brand. I can't escape it. I've been using this sketchbook since I was 11 or 12 years old, and I am turning 23 this year. So this has been with me for like 11 or 12 years. It cannot escape me. It will not escape me. I will come back to it. I will find the Leuchtturm sketchbook no matter what, because I love them. I genuinely do. This is not a sponsored video. I just wanted to make a video talking about how much I love these sketchbooks. Leuchtturm, if you're watching this, I would not be opposed to a partnership or a sponsor, or just like, all I ask of you, really, is for an orange sketchbook. Orange is my favorite color. As a kid, the Leuchtturm sketchbook used to come in so many colors, right? There were like different shades of blue, there were orange, there was yellow, there was reds, and like, yeah, now we have the there's the wine red, there's like a foresty green that I've used a few times because I do like that one. And then there's like a sage green, there's a lilac, there's the black. There used to be like a denim blue one. Now there's another blue now, I think, if they haven't discontinued that one as well. And there's the yellow. So colors kind of come and go. But on the website, you can like customize your own notebook, and you can choose between, because they have other colors for the notebooks, but not for the sketchbook. All that I want is a sketchbook with an orange cover. I decimated a sketchbook and a notebook once, just so that I could put the orange cover onto the sketchbook. That is something that I did. Am I proud of it? Maybe. Not really. But all that I want is for an orange sketchbook again. I am begging you on my hands and knees, please contact me about it. I miss the orange so much. It was lovely. It was great. The sketchbook pages did used to be a bit thicker. Now they're 150 GSM. Back in the day, they were 180, but that's not really that big of a deal. I'm fine with it. So, either way, also why I just love the sketchbook. Mixed media on top, dude. It can handle watercolors. It can handle gouache. And just like if you have one of the, I use like a dollar store 4-color ballpoint pen, works wonders. And colored pencils, you can use alcohol markers on it. It works really well with alcohol markers. Yeah, it bleeds through, but with every bleed through, just cover it up with another paper. Like, it's fine. And with watercolor and paints, doesn't bleed through at all. It buckles maybe a little bit, but it's barely there, man. It handles everything so well. And that's why I keep on using them, because I always switch between different like markers and different materials. But even so, the sketchbook has been able to stay with me throughout all of those different materials that I've used. I've painted inside, on the cover, like all over the place, and it always works. Right now, my main medium is water-based markers. I use the Faber-Castell Pitt artist brush pens, which I love. They're great. I was planning on making a whole video about those, but then I forgot. I have all like the footage. I just never edited it. So sorry about that. But with water-based markers as well, it works really nice. The marker, kind of sits on top of the paper. It does sink into it a bit, but not like insanely so, which is why it doesn't bleed through. And as long as you're like using the water-based markers like while they're still a little bit wet, you can blend and you can layer. And I've drawn so much stuff with so many layers, and the worst thing that happens is that the top of the paper may be like it starts pilling a little bit, but that's because I'm impatient and I don't wait for it to dry. If I just waited for it to dry, it would be totally fine. That's how well the paper is. I do miss like the 180 GSM maybe a little bit, but even so, like, the new paper is still really good. I don't mind it at all. And saying new paper feels weird because it has been this way for quite a few years now. But even so, like, it's a good sketchbook. I will come back to this no matter how hard I try. So, I am loyal to the Leuchtturm, whether I like it or not. And I do like it, so, like, it's fine, really. Either way, starting this new sketchbook as well, I initially was like, I wanted to do something with space, I wanted to do something with dragons, I wanted to use my brand, which is, you know, orange, purple, and teal, just the colors. Orange is my favorite color, purple is my second favorite color, and teal is just really nice complementary to it. But then it was just too many themes to mix together, so I just kind of ended up with dragons, because I like dragons, and having a dragon on, like, the beginning just felt right, you know? It just felt like what it should be. So I used a mechanical pencil with colored lead, orange, of course, to do the undersketch, which is how I pretty much always work, because when I work digitally, I use, you know, a colored undersketch, and then I do a more detailed sketch on top with, like, either black or a really dark purple or really dark blue. And with my traditional work, I found that still kind of works. So I rough out the anatomy or the shapes with the orange, and then I use a normal just mechanical pencil with H hardness lead in it to do the over sketch, where I put in all the details and stuff like that, and then I do line art, I color, yada yada, all that stuff. And it works really well. And I don't know when I started doing that. It was a few years ago, but I was always mad about how, you know, normal graphite would just like smudge onto my hand. I didn't like it. And sketching, since I do a lot of just regular sketching without coloring as well, that would always happen. I would have smudges all over the page. But when I use the quote-unquote normal graphite more sparingly, I don't get into that issue as much. Also, using a harder lead also keeps it from smudging everywhere. If you're worried about smudging, like, don't, even an HB pencil or an HB lead is still really soft. It will smudge. That's why I use an H hardness one. Sometimes I think I've gone up to like an H1, but that's almost a little bit too hard, because I push down on the paper kind of hard at times. Thankfully, the Leuchtturm, best sketchbook ever. But thankfully it can handle a lot of the erasing anyways, and even when I push down as hard as I do, I can still erase and make it fine. So it works for me. At the end of the day, when it comes to supplies, something that may work for somebody else won't work for you. So you have to find the techniques and the supplies that you use to make it work. And that's just, I found mine, you know? And I hope that you will find yours eventually. Just gotta have fun with it. Experiment. Have a good time. Have a good sketchbook that can handle that experiment. Not gonna say it. Don't say it, Leon. Don't say it. Anyways. I was just... As of recording this audio, it is the 7th of May, but I started the sketchbook on the 1st of May, or the drawing that I did is from the 1st of May, because as soon as May 1st hit, I was like, I'm not going to use the previous sketchbook, because I was done with it, vibes-wise. So, I just wanted to, you know, start something new. Have a fresh start. And I did. Now I'm in pony hell, which is its whole other thing. That won't make much sense right now. If you join my TikTok live streams, you will find out what I mean. But yeah, once again, also the pony hell, I use water-based markers and so many layers. And once again, paper does not pill. It's just bam, 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 bam. You know, all of those. And paper is fine. It's truly amazing. At the end of the day, no bleed through, no ghosting. Buy the Leuchtturm, guys. Do it. Sorry, the video. I'm like having the video playing on my editing program while I record the voiceover, so that I know that the voice over is like the right length. But I accidentally turned the volume full up, so I don't know if you heard that. I have switched to using... That's the cat. I've switched to using DaVinci Resolve for editing, because we use it, we've been talking about it in school, and we're going to start using it for color grading. I've been using Clipchamp, which I only really used because it was free and it was already on the computer. That's really the only reason why. But he wants attention. DaVinci Resolve really is better in all ways. I can do so much more stuff, and I hope that the video looks a bit better. Hopefully, because of that. Still new to the program. I've used it a few times in school, and this is the first time I'm using it at home. At least my computer can handle it. So, you know, do with what we do. Anyways. I'm gonna be quiet for a little bit, so you can just enjoy the speed paint, I guess. He won't be quiet, though. Ah, yes, stimming. Yeah, I was gonna use, the markers all the way, but since there is, the dragon covers so much space, and I wanted quite a dark color for the base of the dragon, I opted to using watercolor to, like, mixed media works fantastic, as I've said. So using watercolor as a base just to get that flat, like all that space covered, and then going in with the markers worked really well. It took a while. Also, I lost quite a bit of the recording, because my phone ran out of space, and there was some issues. I use Google Drive to get the recordings from because I use my phone. So I use it to get the recordings from my phone to my computer, and some of the files didn't transfer, and then they were gone from my phone, so lost a bit here and there. Yeah. I don't know if you enjoy me yapping, like just talking a lot of the time, or if you prefer me, like, just being able to zone out as well. Tell me in the comments, man. But here you can see I use the markers to just define shapes, get the shading in, get the texture in. I do this with everything, really. I use lightest tone, and then I go to a mid-tone, and then the darkest tone, and then I use the lightest tone to blend out the mid-tone. To do the shading, and that really works well because the markers layer really well on the paper. But yeah, this way, like, you don't overwork the paper too much, because you're using the materials very sparingly, but it's still enough to get the feel across, because I feel like the dragon really has texture using the mixed media approach, and I feel like it would have even more texture if you use, like, colored pencils for some parts here and there. I'm still figuring out colored pencils, kind of. So, still working on that. But I am figuring them out, at least. And sometimes I don't like using them for line art because it looks really nice, but they smudge much easier. But you can't always use a fixative. It's just, I don't like the texture of the fixative once it dries. It feels like it's getting on my hands as, like, a dust, even though it's not. And that's confusing. Coloring takes time. At the end of the day, there's a lot of coloring. The sketching part was really long, and now the coloring part is really long. Do you prefer long videos or short videos? Do you watch them in the background? Like, I watch video essays when I draw and stuff. Do you watch these? Like, I don't know. What do you... when do you watch these videos? I'm just curious. Trying to figure this whole YouTube thing out. I mainly do YouTube as like a fun side thing. And then eventually, you know, when I have my stories and all, that takes ages because ADHD. Guess it, you know, the character archive, good marketing, or what, something, I don't know. This is how, when you see me use how I use, like, the darkest tone. It is really just, like, refining shapes. I work in a very shape way. When I do anatomy, I get a lot of questions about how I do anatomy. I'm horrible at tutorials and, like, explaining things. What I say is, I use big shapes, and then I break those big shapes down into smaller big shapes, and then I break those shapes down into shapes, and eventually you have, like, the actual shape. As you can see, not a very precise explanation, but it's really, like, don't focus on the details right away. Go more for, like, the general gist of it, and then once you have the full shape of, like, the body or the feature out, then you can start going more in depth with it. Because if you get too zoned in on details, you're gonna get confused, and like, everything, like, if you draw a head before you draw the neck is gonna look weird. A lot of gray must be riveting. Can you hear Merlin purring? He's been in my lap a lot of time. He has shed so much fur all over me right now because I've been scratching him behind his ears. Jesus, man. That's so much fur! It's sticking all over. Jesus, man. Yeah, you can see I used, like, the dark gray. It's a Payne's gray, and then I'm using various shades of dark, cool grays. I want the dragon kind of look like a black dragon, but just making it black would mute the entire thing out, so gotta go with more grayish. But it does really help when I get, like, the orange and purple and teal on there to really pop, because the colors, I really like those colors together, but mainly with, like, black as the neutral tone, so to speak, because it helps them pop even more than if it's just the three of them on their own. You gotta really work with, like, the hue, using, like, a dark purple and then, like, a brighter orange and a light teal. That can look really nice. But you gotta have something like a black, or maybe even like a really desaturated brown can work as well. Dark brown, stuff like that. Very sci-fi colors, in a way. I also like a CMYK color scheme, not gonna lie. Like, it is kind of like a CMYK, only that instead of yellow, it's orange, and instead of magenta, it's purple. So it's, like, a little bit off-kilter, but, like, it's kind of there, though. It's kind of CMYK. Now the purple's finally coming in. I'm still like a little bit, I do like where I put the colors on the dragon, but I'm still like a little bit unsure about it. I feel like I could have done it better, but I still kind of like it. Maybe I'll, because this isn't really like any dragon, it's not any dragon character that I have or anything like that. It's just a dragon. But so maybe I'll revisit like this color scheme on a dragon and try and make it better at some point. Merlin sounds like a Geiger counter. Are you warning me about nearby radiation? There he goes. Leaving his fur all over me. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I was just trying to figure out, like, how to make the teal look nice. I'm using a very, very light blue. And then there's gonna be more darker teals and stuff coming in. You can also, Murray's in the video. He sat on my desk on my computer keyboard, and then he crawled into my lap and tried to steal my pens while I was drawing. Which happens a lot. I don't know what music I'm gonna put on this yet. Usually I use Oblivion music. I don't know. I want to get this video finished tonight. Because I'm procrastinating schoolwork. I have an audio analysis I need to do. Gonna analyze the sound design in a scene from Snowpiercer. Because I love that movie. It's one of my favorites. There's something about me and like frozen apocalypses, because also I love Frostpunk and I'm planning on doing a Frostpunk video. There's something about like stuff being frozen over. There's something about it. I tried to do a thing before, like this is the second time recording a voiceover. I recorded one where I also filmed myself, and I was gonna like key out myself and have a little me in the corner with like my Sona that has like the face painted over with the star thing. But then I don't have a green screen, so I didn't use a green screen. And I tried to key myself out, and it was just way too much work, and I gave up, so that's why I'm recording the second time. Kitty break. And back at it again. I found, because usually these markers don't bleed the like line art, but the lighter ones can bleed a like fine liner sometimes if you're using black. So I now, like before, I used to do like this where I do the coloring first and then I do the line art. But now I've started using a brown fine liner because it's a pretty light brown, but it doesn't bleed the lighter colors. And then I use I use the brown fine liner, I do the coloring, and then I use a black fine liner to define certain shapes or get more depth by like, oh, something that is behind the spots between those two will have the black fine liner, and it helps with, it makes like both a thicker line and it creates a darker line that feels deeper, so it gives a really nice contrast in the line art, and I really like that. But it would be fun to do that, to see what the line art would look like without any color, but I do it so that the line art doesn't smudge, so it would be kind of counterproductive to do the line art that way and then put a light color down and having it smudge. So it would be like if I did it and then left it as just the line art and I didn't color it, I could do that. I don't like when I don't really like the look of just line art a lot of the time. I'd have to do like a really detailed piece or something that feels more in line with like sketching, I guess. In this one I did a little bit of that, but in this one I used the old way of how I did things, which was coloring first and then line art, so I ended up doing a lot of black line art, but I used the line art very sparingly, to be fair. But that's it. That's the video. That's the beginning of this sketchbook. I've already drawn in it quite a bit, but that's it. I hope you liked it. So have a good day, have a good night, whatever time it is. Have a good time. I will see you, and have a goodbye time.